Hey folks, welcome back to the Leeds Gamer. As things stand at this moment in time, the majority of teams have played 28 games this season and ultimately have got 10 games remaining to be played. Talking of all that, there is a match currently going on at the moment, and Chelsea have gotten a recent equaliser against Arsenal. Arsenal were 1-0 up. So, what's going to happen? What is going to happen for the remainder of this season? Let's just have a look at every team in the bottom half at least. Certainly everyone from Bournemouth downwards, because ultimately Fulham upwards, they've already hit 40, so they don't matter now. Quite frankly, they're fighting for things up the table, not being concerned about what's below them. So with Wolves, they surprisingly beat Aston Villa 2-0, which means that they will not go down as the worst Premier League team of all time, at least at this point, purely because Derby still hold that mantle with 11 points. So at least Wolves have got a small positive to cling on to there. Don't get me wrong, their season's still dreadful, and they will still be one of the worst teams, but they won't be the worst team. Moving on to Burnley, they've had a bit of a nothing season, really, haven't they? Not anywhere near as bad as Wolves, but it's just been a very irrelevant season for them. Apologies, I feel like a sneeze is coming on. Just been a very nothing season for Burnley, and it's kind of resulted in, been a season of poor recruitment, didn't replace a couple of their best defensive players from last season, didn't get a striker in that was going to get them 10-15 goals this season. If you can't defend and if you can't score, you're going to struggle like hell, and that's been the story of Burnley's season pretty much. So that's the bottom two. There's no point dwelling on either of them that much. Both of them have looked like they were going down for a long time now. West Ham. Now, their little purple patch seems to have come to an end. They had a win and 2 draws there, but they've now got 2 losses in the last 5. One of them being against Chelsea, which you can kind of forgive a little bit. But conceding 5 goals against anybody is pretty bad. Losing 5-2 to Liverpool. Their next game is against Fulham, which it's a London derby. It's at Craven Cottage. I think West Ham need to get something from that to give themselves a real chance of staying up. Just to get that confidence back and start getting a little run of form back, if at all possible. Moving on to Nottingham Forest. They're currently in the position that Leeds were kind of aiming for at the start of the season, as a minimum at least. So Forest is 17th, but they're in pretty rotten form, with just 2 draws in the last 5, and the 3 losses. One of them coming against Leeds, which positionally, that's a terrible loss. Great for Leeds. A 1-0 loss to Liverpool you could almost forgive, and I think that might have been the game where Liverpool scored very late. And then a 2-1 loss to Brighton, which isn't very good, because I think Brighton, if you take 3 points away, they'd have been on 34. Yeah, they'd have been down in 14th. So positionally, again, that's not a good loss, is it? Then you got Tottenham, who are in the worst form of anybody in the bottom 5 currently. They're dreadful. They score okay, but they've conceded a fair chunk with 43. The goal difference is only -5. It's probably the only positive for Tottenham right now. They've got the best goal difference of anyone from Leeds down. But 29 points is not looking great. They got a very creditable draw against Man City, but they've lost against Man U, lost against Newcastle, lost against Arsenal, and lost against Fulham. It's not a good run. There's some tough games in that run, but to only get one draw in all that is extremely poor. And their next game is also another London derby. Seems to be a lot of London derbies this season. Got quite a few London-y type teams in this division. So, with all that being said, on to my club Leeds. The reason Sunderland's highlighted, by the way, there is just they were the last team I clicked on before going on the recording, because they are Leeds' next opponents. So, from Leeds' point of view, I'm not going to go into the details of what just happened against Man City yesterday. I've already done it in the match review. I'm not happy about it, but it's been and gone. We move on. Leeds' goal difference isn't good. Obviously, with it being back in double figures again on a minus scale, but we are the first team to be over the 30-point mark, and the form, the form's identical to West Ham as far as the last 5 is concerned, with loss, win, draw, loss. That is the same for Leeds. Got destroyed by Arsenal. It's happened twice this season. I'm glad we don't have to play them again. But a good win against Forest, who are below us. A very decent draw against Chelsea, who are clearly above us. A very decent draw against Villa, who again are clearly above us. And then, as I say, only a very narrow 1-0 loss against Man City. So, yeah, as I say, Leeds' next match against Sunderland, vastly important that Leeds win that match. It's at home, it's at Ellen Road. Leeds' home form is good, Sunderland's away form is not good. It's a massive chance for Leeds to get 3 points and get that bit closer to survival. When I look at all this, Palace have had 2 wins and a draw in the last 5. So their form's decent enough. That kind of form will keep you up. They're already on 35 as it is. Newcastle, their form's crap. They've only got 1 win, which was against Tottenham, ironically. But they've lost heavily against against Liverpool. Lost 3-2 against Brentford. Lost 2-1 against Man City, which again, no disgrace. But then lost 3-2 to Everton. I think 2 of those losses could, Newcastle really would have been looking at avoiding a couple of those. The Everton one, and then the Brentford one. I think they would have been looking at those 2 games and thinking we could at least get a draw out of those. So their form's very poor. Sunderland not that much better. They beat Burnley, who you'd expect them to beat, but lost to Arsenal, lost to Liverpool narrowly, lost to Fulham, and then could only draw with Bournemouth, who again are a team quite close to them. So, Sunderland's form not looking that great right now. Brighton, their form's starting to pick up, isn't it? Couple of wins in the last 2 games against Brentford, who are above them, so that's a good win, and then beating Forest, who are comfortably below them. As things stand. But Brighton do face Arsenal next. They also got a draw against Everton as well. The 2 losses against Palace, that's a bit of a poor one. Losing to Villa, no disrespect there really, is there? It's a difficult one. Bournemouth are actually they're the first team to be in really good form right now, with 2 wins and 3 draws. They're the only team under 40 points that are actually in good form right now. With wins against Wolves, you'd expect it. Draw against Villa's not bad. Beating Everton, another good win there. Draw against West Ham probably would be seen as a bit disappointing with where West Ham are. And then a draw against Sunderland, who again, as I say, they're quite close to them, but Sunderland's form's not amazing. So there you kind of have it, folks. With Bournemouth's form, they'll easily get to 40. The next match is against Brentford. That could be a close. I could see that being a draw. Bournemouth have drawn a lot of games this season. On the flip side, Brentford haven't actually. So yeah, it'll be a tight one, that one. How quickly are these two going to get to 40? I mean, hopefully Sunderland don't get to 40 over the next match because we play them. Brighton, on the other hand, yeah, they're not going to get it on the next match either because they're against Arsenal. So they should be as you were. Newcastle, they're against Manure. I don't think there's any guarantee they win that one. I mean, Newcastle scored a lot of goals, but they conceded a lot. That's their Achilles heel, isn't it? Their defence this season, -2 goal difference, and again, just a bad run of form. So they're probably not going to beat Manure at this moment. So for those three, it could be as you were. Palace, as I say, their form's a little better than what it had been previous to these five. Oh, excuse me, sorry. So draw, win, loss, win, loss. So I mean, and they're against Tottenham, and with the form, it's a London derby. But with the form that Tottenham are in, and I think, if I remember rightly, I think Tottenham's home form's pretty poor. I think it's away that Tottenham have been a bit better, if I remember. I think, without checking. So Palace could quite easily win that one, which puts Tottenham in even more of the mire. So I think Leeds will get up to 34 on the next match. So they won't move up a place, but they'll be, points wise, they'll be that bit closer to safety. Tottenham, I think Tottenham might lose against Palace. Looking at that, Forest, they'll lose. They're not getting anything against Man City, so they're still going to be where as they were as well. West Ham, they're against Fulham, and it's away because again, I think like Tottenham, I think West Ham's form at their home ground is poor, isn't it? So I think West Ham could win that one against Fulham. I know Fulham's just what did Fulham just do? Yeah, they've just beaten Tottenham, haven't they? But I don't know. I just wonder whether maybe, again, it's another London derby, but I just wonder whether maybe West Ham could nick something from that. At the very least, draw. I think out of, forgetting the bottom two because they're done. I think Leeds and West Ham and Crystal Palace will gain some points on this next round. I don't think I don't think much else is going to change. I don't see Brighton beating Arsenal. I see Leeds beating Sunderland. Bournemouth against Brentford. Even though Brentford haven't drawn many, I could see that being a draw. But at the very least, I could see Bournemouth getting over that 40-point mark over this next game week. So at that point, then the top half have all reached the minimum target. The bottom half, then it's all to play for. Out of all those, isn't it? So when I look at it all, I mean, let's just have a look at Leeds' next couple of fixtures. I think Sunderland, vital, got to win that. Let's have a look. So we've got to beat Sunderland. It's another evening kick-off at Ellen Road. It screams a Leeds win, does that to me. We really should be beating Norwich in the FA Cup again. It's at Ellen Road. Away to Palace. As I said, Palace's form is indifferent, but it is a early-ish game, and it's away from home, so Leeds might nick a draw from that. I'd possibly be okay with a draw in that one. At home against Brentford. Brentford are having a good season, but again, it's under the lights. Leeds, that's where Leeds, for the most part, have excelled this season. So I think Leeds could get something from that, possibly. I still think we could nick a draw against Scum. I really do. And then, we have to beat Wolves at Ellen Road. It's plain and simple, that one. And then I think that could be a draw just like it were when it were at Ellen Road, away to Bournemouth. So that's the immediate fixtures coming up anyway. But I'll leave it at that, folks. So still 30 points to play for the majority of teams. And from a Leeds perspective, even despite the loss, yesterday, I think we're still. I still think we're going to be okay. I don't see us dropping so much to scupper what we've worked hard for so far. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there, folks. Big thank you for watching. Do please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Do please hit the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any future content. Do please like the video and hype it as well. And with all that being said, have a good one. See you next time. Bye for now.